A troubled history. The genesis of India and Bangladesh. India and Bangladesh share a complex and often fraught history, marked by moments of both unity and division. The partition of British India in 1947 led to the creation of two separate nations, India and Pakistan. This monumental event was a turning point in the subcontinent's history. Pakistan itself was divided into two wings, East and West Pakistan, separated by thousands of miles of Indian territory. This unusual geographic arrangement created significant administrative and logistical challenges. This geographic and cultural division sowed the seeds of discord. The two regions had distinct languages, cultures, and economic interests, which often clashed. East Pakistan, predominantly Bengali in language and culture, chafed under the dominance of West Pakistan. The central government's policies often marginalized the Bengali population, leading to widespread dissatisfaction. In 1971, after a brutal crackdown by the Pakistani army on Bengali nationalists, East Pakistan declared its independence as Bangladesh. This declaration was a bold move towards self-determination. India played a pivotal role in the ensuing war, providing military and humanitarian support to Bangladesh. The Indian military's intervention was crucial in turning the tide in favor of the Bangladeshi forces. The birth of Bangladesh was a momentous event, marking the triumph of self-determination over oppression. The victory was celebrated with great fervor and hope for a new beginning. However, the legacy of partition and the war left deep scars on the region. The aftermath was marked by significant challenges, including rebuilding the war-torn nation and addressing the humanitarian crisis. India's intervention in the war, while welcomed by many in Bangladesh, also fueled suspicions of Indian intentions. Some feared that India might seek to exert undue influence over the newly independent nation. Despite these historical tensions, India and Bangladesh have made significant strides in recent decades in fostering cooperation in areas such as trade, security, and culture. Joint initiatives have helped to build trust and mutual respect. However, recent events have cast a shadow over this progress, highlighting the fragility of the relationship. Ongoing disputes and political developments continue to test the resilience of the ties between the two nations. Sheikh Hasina Wajid, the current Prime Minister of Bangladesh, is a towering figure in Bangladeshi politics. The daughter of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, the founding father of Bangladesh, she has dominated the country's political landscape for decades. However, her tenure has been marked by both triumphs and tribulations. In 2007, amidst a period of political unrest and a military-backed caretaker government, Hasina was arrested on charges of corruption and extortion. She was subsequently released on bail and allowed to travel abroad for medical treatment. This period of exile proved to be a turning point in her political career.
My supporters viewed my arrest as politically motivated, an attempt by my opponents to silence me and my Awami League party. They argued that the charges against me were fabricated and designed to prevent me from contesting future elections. My exile only served to galvanize my supporters, who saw me as a victim of political persecution.
On the other hand, Hasina's critics accused her of authoritarianism and corruption. They pointed to her government's crackdown on dissent and its alleged involvement in various scandals. They argued that her exile was a consequence of her own actions and that she should be held accountable for her alleged crimes. Hasina's exile created a political vacuum in Bangladesh, which her opponents sought to exploit. The absence of a strong leadership figure left the political landscape in disarray, providing an opportunity for rival factions to gain ground and influence. The Bangladesh Nationalist Party, or BNP, led by Khaleda Zia, Hasina's arch-rival, demanded her extradition from the United States, where she was residing at the time. This demand was not just a legal maneuver, but a strategic political move aimed at destabilizing Hasina's support base and consolidating their own power. The BNP accused Hasina of corruption and other crimes, calling for her to be brought back to Bangladesh to face justice. These allegations were part of a broader campaign to tarnish her reputation and delegitimize her leadership, painting her as unfit to govern.
The extradition demands put the United States in a difficult position. Balancing international diplomatic relations with the principles of justice and human rights, the US found itself in a complex situation. The US has a long-standing policy of not extraditing individuals to countries where they may face political persecution or a lack of due process. This policy is rooted in the commitment to uphold human rights and ensure fair treatment for all individuals, regardless of their political affiliations. The US government was also wary of being seen as taking sides in Bangladesh's internal political disputes. Any perceived bias could have far-reaching implications for its diplomatic relations and strategic interests in the region.
The extradition issue became a major bone of contention between the Awami League and the BNP, further polarizing Bangladeshi politics. The intense rivalry between these two major political parties deepened, leading to increased tensions and frequent clashes. The Awami League accused the BNP of using the extradition issue to discredit Hasina and undermine her chances of returning to power. They argued that the BNP's actions were driven by a desire to eliminate political competition rather than a genuine concern for justice. The BNP, in turn, accused the Awami League of shielding Hasina from justice. They claimed that the Awami League was protecting her to maintain their grip on power and avoid accountability for alleged misdeeds. The stalemate over Hasina's extradition continued for several years, adding to the political uncertainty in Bangladesh. This prolonged impasse hindered the country's progress and created an environment of instability and unpredictability. The standoff had a chilling effect on freedom of speech and assembly, as both the government and the opposition cracked down on dissent. The suppression of political expression and public protests became more common, stifling democratic processes. The political climate became increasingly polarized and volatile. The ongoing conflict between the Awami League and the BNP not only affected the political elite, but also trickled down to the general populace, leading to widespread unrest and division within society. Section 4. Rising waters, rising tensions, floods, and the blame game. Bangladesh is a low-lying delta nation, highly vulnerable to the effects of climate change. The country's geographical position makes it particularly susceptible to rising sea levels and extreme weather events, which are becoming more frequent and severe due to global warming. Floods are a recurring problem in Bangladesh, causing widespread damage and displacement every year. The monsoon season brings heavy rains that often lead to rivers overflowing their banks, inundating vast areas of land and affecting millions of people.
In recent years, the frequency and intensity of floods have increased, raising concerns about the country's ability to cope with the growing crisis. The government and various NGOs have been working tirelessly to provide relief and improve flood management, but the scale of the problem often overwhelms their efforts.
The floods have exacerbated tensions between India and Bangladesh. The shared rivers that flow between the two countries have become a source of contention, with each side blaming the other for the worsening situation. Bangladesh blames India for the floods, alleging that India's construction of dams and barrages upstream on shared rivers has disrupted the natural flow of water, leading to increased flooding in Bangladesh. These structures are seen as a way for India to control water resources, often at the expense of downstream communities.
India, on the other hand, maintains that the floods are a natural disaster and that it has taken steps to mitigate the impact on Bangladesh. Indian officials argue that their flood prevention measures are necessary to protect their own population and agricultural lands from similar devastation.
The issue of water sharing is a sensitive one in the region, with both countries relying on the same rivers for irrigation, drinking water, and other needs. The rivers are lifelines for millions of people, and any disruption in their flow can have serious consequences for agriculture, livelihoods, and daily life. The lack of a comprehensive water-sharing agreement between the two countries has only added to the mistrust and suspicion. Negotiations have been ongoing for years, but a mutually acceptable solution has yet to be reached, leaving both sides frustrated and wary of each other's intentions.
The floods have also highlighted the disparity in resources and capacity between India and Bangladesh. While both countries face significant challenges, Bangladesh's limited infrastructure and financial resources make it particularly vulnerable to the devastating effects of natural disasters. Bangladesh, one of the most densely populated countries in the world, lacks the infrastructure and resources to cope with large-scale natural disasters. The country's rapid population growth and urbanization have further strained its ability to respond effectively to such crises.
India, on the other hand, has a more developed economy and greater capacity to respond to such crises. With better infrastructure, more advanced technology, and greater financial resources, India is better equipped to manage and mitigate the impact of floods. However, the challenge remains for both nations to find a cooperative and sustainable solution to the shared threat of flooding. Section 5. Visa woes, adding fuel to the fire. Adding to the strain in bilateral relations are the issues surrounding visa processing for Bangladeshi nationals seeking to travel to India. Long queues, bureaucratic delays, and allegations of corruption have plagued the visa application process, causing frustration and resentment among Bangladeshis.
The visa issues have become a lightning rod for anti-India sentiment in Bangladesh. Many Bangladeshis perceive the difficulties in obtaining Indian visas as a deliberate attempt by India to restrict the movement of Bangladeshi citizens.
They point to the fact that Indian citizens do not face similar hurdles when applying for visas to Bangladesh. The Indian government, for its part, attributes the visa delays to security concerns and the sheer volume of applications.
India shares a long and porous border with Bangladesh, and there are concerns about illegal immigration and cross-border terrorism.
However, these explanations have done little to quell the anger and frustration among Bangladeshis. The visa issue has become a symbol of the perceived power imbalance between the two countries, with Bangladesh feeling that its concerns are not being taken seriously by India.